All right, what's going on, guys? It is Fast Cars, Fast Money coming out with an early video for the Truck Series race, specifically just because the trucks are racing on Thursday. That's right, they're racing on Thursday, so not a Friday race, not over the weekend. It is going to be on Thursday, so not really expecting this video to get a ton of views. Also realizing that Thursday night football is going to be going on, but regardless, there's still a truck race. So we're still going to break it down for you and kind of give you our picks. But they're at Bristol this weekend. We got the truck race on Thursday, the Xfinity race on Friday, and then the Cup race on Saturday night. We'll be recording the Xfinity and Cup video tomorrow at our normal time. We'll post all the spreadsheets and the links to the videos over on Twitter. As always, any questions, feel free to shoot them down in the comments below or hit us up over on Twitter. But let's just go through this pretty quickly. It's going to be a quick race, and this is it's only 200 laps. They're at Bristol. If you're not familiar, Bristol is a really small, short track, half mile, concrete, banked ovals. They're going to be clocking off laps left and right. So it's really important that you have whoever's leading those laps in your line, because they're going to be picking up laps led and fast laps like you can't even believe. Like I said, it's a Thursday night race, so just be aware of that. They're racing on Thursday a little bit earlier than we've seen this year. It's the last playoff race of the first round, so two guys will get eliminated from the playoffs after this race. And didn't really see a ton of cautions at Richmond over the weekend, but wasn't really expecting that many of them. But at Bristol, putting 40 trucks, especially with this field and how aggressive or stupidly some of these guys race, I do expect there to be a lot of cautions. So let's get to the driver breakdown. And then just for reference, all the drivers in yellow are playoff drivers, and drivers in green have already advanced to the next round, just so you are aware of, why they're highlighted. But really comes down to, I think, Sam Mayer, John Hunter Nemechek, and Sheldon Creed. Now, you got to play the narrative out in your head as far as when you're building your line. How does this lineup work? How does this lineup, how is it going to cash? How can this lineup be optimal? And to me, I think you need at least two of these guys. We saw Sam Mayer win this race last year. Granted, he was in a GMS truck. He's in the 32 truck this time, so his upside is not as high as it was the previous time he raced, but he still basically starts, DFL. And, this is a track he has circled. He's a good short track racer. Like, he'll be able to move forward. All you really need from him is a top 10 finish, and I think that's very possible. I can see you potentially getting off of him if you think a lot of people are going to be on him if you're playing multiple lines. But if you're just playing one line, I think you need to have Sam Mayer in it. And then it comes down to who you pair him with. You're either going to have to pair him with John Hunter Nemechek or Sheldon Creed. I think both of them are very similar plays. It really just comes down to who you're more confident in and who you're more confident in can lead those laps. Now, Sheldon Creed probably has a slight advantage to be that early lap leader for a couple of reasons. One, he starts first, so he gets to control the restart. So he'll be the one, initiating the start, and then John Hunter Nemechek will have to react to Creed. And then two, Creed gets to pick what lane he restarts in. I'm pretty sure they're using the PJ1 again this weekend. And with PJ1, usually it takes a handful of laps before it really gets activated. So it's more icy. It's a little confusing, but it doesn't have as much grip until cars start going over it and it gets activated. So John Hunter Nemechek will probably get thrown in that PJ1 lane and might be limited on grip potential. So if you had to pick one, I think I might go Creed, just because I think his chances of leading early are a little bit higher than Nemechek's. There's also no competition caution either, so those laps are just going to clock off. But can't go wrong with either of them. Both of them, I think, are slam dunk plays and the favorites to win the race. Kligerman and Hill, I think, are going to get overlooked in this range. So if you want to be contrarian, I think you can consider either of those plays. But I think it's really just jamming the lap leader. It's probably only going to be one or two guys who's leading a bulk of this race. especially with the way that the stage lengths are. They can basically just pit at the end of the stage, come right back out and keep riding around. If there's a lot of cautions, they're still going to be clocking laps off. So you still need that guy who's leading. So you need the lap leader, and then just need place differential. So a lot of these guys kind of starting towards the front, I think, are just going to kind of get lost and outscored. So not too interested in Kligerman and Hill, but if you're trying to be contrarian and play an ownership play, I don't mind it. Guy I do kind of like, though, is Zane Smith. He's below the cutoff line right now, so he needs to have a good run. He likes this type of racetrack. He usually runs really well on the concrete tracks too, and Bristol's a concrete track. So if you're looking for like a lower owned play, I think Zane Smith is a good option. Not too interested in Infinger or Gilliland, just based upon where they start. I think Ankrum's a interesting place differential play. I just think his place differential upside isn't as high as some maybe potential other plays. He doesn't have that kind of, maybe he can get double digit place differential, but like I know Mayer can get it. Taylor Gray has a potential to do it. Timmy Hill, Clay Greenfield, Doug Coby. Like there's some cheaper plays on the slate for you to kind of get that place differential. But if you're looking for a good GPP play, I think Ben Rhodes is a really good option. He's a playoff driver. It's really consistent, getting top 10s every week. Usually he starts like third or fourth, which really limits his upside. But now that he starts 11th, he gives you some place differential. So if you can find some way to get Rhodes in your line, especially in GPPs, I think it's a good way to get different and a good way to get a driver who has some really good upside and some good value. Barry's interesting. I just feel more confident with Rhodes, so it's only $100 price difference. So I'd rather work my line out to get Rhodes. Kraft and Sauter and Friesen, not really interested in. Taylor Gray doesn't have a ton of experience, but he starts 35th. So if he can just avoid the wrecks and that equipment is good enough for a top 20, if you somehow are, when you're done building your line, if you have 8,400, 7,800, maybe you could work it around to fit him in, but I wouldn't go out of your way to get him. Smith, I think, just gets kind of stuck in that no man's land starting position wise. Derek Kraus, maybe a GPP option. Probably only going to get you maybe a top 8 at most. And if he wrecks, it's really going to hurt your line. Hocevar, they've been promoting this truck all week long. It has a good sponsor on it. He's a playoff driver. He's currently above the cutoff line, but he needs to maintain that. So he should be fast, probably a GPP only option. Drew Dollar in the 51, not interested in. Timmy Hill, great place differential play. Really, cheap and affordable, easy to fit in your lines. Pretty safe play. Love Timmy Hill this week. Tanner Gray probably going to get overlooked for the Timmy Hill, Doug Coby, and maybe even Clay Greenfield ownership. So maybe if you want to pivot off one of those guys, maybe Gray is a good option for you. Love Doug Coby. He's probably going to be in most of my lineups. He's in a GMS truck starting 30th. He comes from kind of this short track, background, because he's been doing well. And I think this is the same guy that won the SRX race. Basically was called to do this race from GMS. So it's a really good opportunity for him. And I know he's going to be trying to make the most of it, and he has the equipment to do it. And he starts 30th. So there's a lot of upside for him. Greenfield's a really good play too. That I think maybe not a lot of people are going to realize. He's in the 11 truck this week. Normally we see him in the 68. This 11 truck is much better. They're sponsored this weekend, and he starts 34th. So I like a lot of these, from Timmy Hill to Clay Greenfield, even Haley Deegan to extent. I think those 5 drivers right there are kind of 5 drivers value-wise to maybe build around. Like I said, I like Deegan. I just prefer Coby, Hill, and Greenfield probably a little bit more. Wallace Allen or other play Ryan Truex, who's in the same equipment, starting right next to him for cheaper. Howard's an interesting GPP option. We've seen Enfinger run decently well in this truck, so maybe he can get a top 15, but I don't know. It's a risky play. Corey Roper starts so deep in the field that if he can just miss the wrecks and keep running around, like he'll be able to work out for you. Purdy's probably another GPP value play. He's in the GMS equipment. So, I mean, it's the same equipment that Sheldon Creed has on the pole, and we've seen him, dominating the most two recent races. So it's, the equipment's there. It's just whether or not the driver's there. Dawson Cram, just kind of prefer other punt plays down on this range. Austin Wayne Self, I think, is maybe a risky GPP option, but even then, it's kind of a tough ask to have him maintain his position. It can go south really quickly if he does get caught up in a wreck. I think Truex is probably my favorite value punt play, just with the equipment he's in, kind of where he starts. He can get you a top 18 finish if everything kind of goes according to plan. Ray Cicerelli can't lose you any points. So if he just stays on the track, some points are better than none, I guess. Not interested in Howie or CJ. Danny's another interesting GPP option, kind of like Austin Wayne Self is. He probably finishes around where he starts. Chris Wright always seems to find a way to get into accidents, whether it's his fault or not. Fogelman is kind of the same way. Not really too high on any of the young motorsports drivers, but if you need to pick one of them, I think Fogelman's probably the safest, just because he starts 31st. They can't lose you that many points. I just don't know how many points he's going to gain you. Not really interested in Cobb, Wood, or Rayumi there. So really comes down to, I think, getting the lap leader, whether it's going to be Creed or Nemechek, at least for the early part of the race. And then 2, getting the right place differential plays. And then, it's really going to come down to kind of just getting lucky a little bit as far as having your drivers avoid the wrecks. But it's a short race. So, I mean, the laps are going to click off really fast. So you need that guy who's out front. But then other than that, it's really just jam as many place differential plays in as possible. So whoever you're more confident in with Nemechek or Creed, I'd start there. And then I would build around them with place differential plays and just hope that they can just stay out front and run away with this race. So that'll do it for the Truck Series video. Like I said, the race is Thursday night. We'll be putting our Xfinity and Cup video up sometime tomorrow, probably around this time tomorrow, but who knows by the time you guys are seeing this. But yeah, that'll do it. And best of luck to you guys this weekend with Bristol, and catch you on the next one.